Welcome to the Creepin' It Real Show, your one-stop shop for weird news, spooky, and otherworldly and paranormal shenanigans. We'll take a dive into what's going on in creepy pop culture. You can follow Creepin' It Real Show on Twitter at creepin_it. You can email us at creepinitrealshow@gmail.com. You can also go to our website, creepinitrealshow.com. Without further ado, welcome to this week's episode.
Hello and welcome to the Creepin' It Real Show. I am 1/3 of your host, Miss Moni, and we hope that this recording is finding you safe and relatively sane, and that we can provide a bit of entertainment to take your mind away from the real world. And with that, I want to bring in one of my co-hosts, Mr. Yardley. How are things going for you?
I am good. I can't complain, and I'm definitely excited about the topic that was chosen today, so I'm ready to roll.
I figured it would be up your alley, but before we reveal, wow, try saying that 5 times fast. We reveal. Christy, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I guess besides what's happening, everything's well. I'm staying healthy and away from people, and that's it. It's kind of boring.
Got your toilet paper stockpiled.
Okay, so full disclosure, we have always been toilet paper hoarders. So this is like you're in my time now. So I'm like,
you
welcome.
Me as suburban bulk buyers.
Totally.
Yeah, like
we have
Costco or
Yeah, we remodeled our kitchen about 5 years ago and have more cabinet space than we know what to do with. So my husband was like, I have the answer, and that is in godly amounts of toilet paper and paper towels. So we're good.
Well, in that case. So our topic today is upcoming horror films. And you guys, I wrote this. It's kind of crazy. I wrote it a week and a half ago. And not only has my personal whole life changed in that time, but also all of the movie stuff due to this coronavirus outbreak has changed. And so I had put like release dates and things, and a lot of that has been moved back.
Yeah.
So some of it I will try to Google while we're talking. The rest of it, you just forgive us, but we will be talking about what we think about movies. And we've watched the trailers for a lot of the ones that are coming up in the theater. So we're still getting our good advice on what to see and what we think, but some of the release dates may be quite different, such as New Mutants, which is a running joke in my house and has been for months prior to this.
Right.
But at any rate, we usually start off talking about a little bit of housekeeping. So just a reminder, creepers, you can text us now at 21,000 21000. If you text 21,000 the word creep, you can text us questions, ideas, stories, basically anything you're wondered about the show, anything you want to say on the show. And it sounds like Miss Christy is going to be working that into next week is her turn to pick our show topic. And we will be answering your questions and speaking to your stories and ideas or whatever you text us by then. So make sure that you get your text in to 21,000, text creep to 21,000. This week, after you hear this recording, you'll have 1 week to basically get that in. Do your homework, creepers, and you'll be featured on our next show.
And then also, really quick, make sure that if you want us to recognize your question as yours, leave a nickname or a first name or whatever so that we can address it personally to you. Or if you just want to be random and mysterious, that's prerogative as well. You go for it.
People of mystery, we love it.
Yes.
That's a true creeper right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we like to start off most of our shows talking about what we've been watching recently. And since this whole episode is about things that we've been watching, upcoming horror films, also TV shows, indie, everything in our space, basically, that we can think of, we are bringing to y'all. So, Christy, do you want to talk about what you've been watching?
Yeah, I checked out a movie it's on Shudder called Luz, Luz. It is, or Luz, I don't quite know how to pronounce it. The movie's in subtitles, and the premises is a young cab driver drags herself into the brightly lit entrance of a rundown police station. A demonic entity follows her, determined to finally be close to the woman it loves. It wasn't bad. It was definitely watchable. It was really kind of hard to figure out what's going on because of kind of the culture. The culture is a little different. It's it's German and Spanish, so a little confusing, but it was watchable and different, and I enjoyed the concept, and I really love checking out movies from other countries because, their concept of horror and ours can be totally different at times, and so it was definitely something that you should check out if you're up for a movie with subtitles, and you can find it on Shudder. And that's it.
Take it off mute in a timely manner, and that way I can answer that. I'm recording in a different way, and so my buttons are a little further away today, y'all.
Yes.
That sounds interesting. I like me some demons. I think it's something we always say. Over a 5 is maybe worth a watch, and since it's over a 5 in my wheelhouse, and we're quarantined, might as well watch some demon movies.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. You want me to go ahead and dive in?
So what are some of the shows that you've been watching, Yardley?
Well, I just jumped back on Kingdom. Season 2 just dropped on Netflix. And for those who aren't familiar, Kingdom is a 2019 South Korean political period supernatural thriller. It's a series that's written by Kim Young-hee and directed by Kim Song-hoon. It's a Netflix's very first Korean original series, and it premiered last year in January. The series is adapted from the webcomic series The Kingdom of the Gods, which was also authored by Kim Young-hee and drawn by Yang Kyung-il. And it's got some pretty cool stuff. I don't know if either of you had managed to check out season 1.
No, I didn't finish.
How far in did you get?
I got in like 2 episodes.
Okay, it starts gearing up probably around episode 3 or episode 4.
Okay.
But essentially, this season starts up right where the last season left off, but they are kind of letting you know how the root of how these individuals, these undead, are coming back.
Do you mind if I ask you really quick to kind of refresh my memory? Is this the one where it's the leader and he's sick and they're all trying to keep it secret and the son is trying to figure out what's wrong with his dad and stuff? Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes, it's that one. And
Got it.
So they expand on what they did in season 1, but they just give you a lot more answers, and there's a lot more action. I think that they gained a lot of goodwill and capital from the first season. Okay. But it's it's definitely an interesting series. It is in subtitles, but they do have an English dub. And it's, I'm a big fan. I think that they really hit the ground running in this season, and I look forward to finishing this thing up.
Nice. Yeah, it was subtitled, right? I think that's part of why I enjoyed it, but didn't make it all the way through. And then is there anything else that you're watching right now?
Yeah, Netflix Marianne. I think we briefly talked about this a couple of times on the show. It's not going to be coming back for a second season. And for those who are not familiar, it is on Netflix, and the plot revolves around a young novelist named Emma who realizes that the characters she writes in her horror novels are also in the real world.
And watch the subtitles, y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched it. I was interested enough to make it through the series. A lot of times when I watched it might be when I was like on my exercise bike and I just watched Netflix while I was doing that. But there's a lot of very good creepy horror elements to it, and I was actually looking forward to a season 2, but apparently they have squashed it.
They certainly set it up where a season 2 could happen, so yeah, I know. Wow.
At the same time, they see the numbers and we don't, so maybe that's...
Yeah, and I think a lot more creativity is given, or people are figuring out that you don't have to have a season 2 just to make more money, I guess, sometimes. Mm-hmm. I think that's what they're doing with Watchmen also, is like it definitely could have a season 2, but they're not going to because it actually is really, really good the way it is, and they don't want to fuck it up with sense, I suppose.
I'm
So-
bummed
okay.
because I'm bummed, Marianne, because I thought it was a really quirky, different concept, and
Mhm.
it was like one of those shows that nobody's safe, as far as
Yeah,
stuff that could
for
happen
sure.
or effects of what was going on, and it was different, and I really like checking out different stuff. So I would have loved to have known what the concept was going to be around season 2.
Yeah.
But oh well, I guess we'll never know.
I know. So there's that. So as we mentioned, we're going into movies either upcoming or currently in theaters, and we all watched the. I think I posted it upcoming. If I didn't, I'll double check on our Facebook page, and I will put it on there. Which is it's about 20 minutes of trailers for upcoming movies. Some of them have come out, but it was coming. It was something that dropped late 2019. And the first film on our list, Christy's going to tell us about, it did come out, is Brahms, The Boy 2.
Yeah, in theaters, has a 4.3 on IMDb. Uh-oh. It hit right below. The Boy 2 takes forward the story of the creepy porcelain doll seen in The Boy in 2016. Katie Holmes, Liza, who's Katie Holmes, and her husband Sean, who's Owain Yeoman, and their son Jude, Christopher Convery, move into a house next to the Healshire Mansion. Jude befriends a porcelain yet realistic-looking doll called Brahms. Yeah, when I saw this review, I was like, I feel bad for Katie Holmes. I want to support
she's
her.
Like pigeonholed as the
she's
mom
been through some
character in
shit.
Things.
Yeah, and she's been through some shit. So I'm like, okay, I want to support her, but
she survived Scientology, you guys.
Exactly. She got out. But I watched the trailer on this and I was like, so here's what they said. The Boy 2 is a below average film. Okay. And they just get right to the point. It totally disregards everything that made The Boy in 2016 a memorable horror thriller movie. Returning director William Brent Bell should not have made this film in the first place. If it was studio pressure, they should have only made this movie if the script was unique as its predecessor. Katie Holmes is great as Liza. Owen Yeoman is a brilliant as Sean, and Christopher Convery is a complete letdown as Jude. Oh, poor kid. Damn. Ralph no, poor kid. Ralph Ineson is effective as Joseph. Brahms, The Boy 2 is not at all worth watching. Give this complete disappointment a miss and rewatch the first one instead. I think that was already my plan, but I'm glad it's gotten backed up with somebody else.
You know what? I thought I was going to hate the first one and hate watched it at first for the first half hour, 45 minutes, and ended up enjoying it for what it was.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
So I wouldn't have run to theaters to see this, but I was like, if I remember correctly, spoilers, creepers, y'all can set me straight if I'm wrong. If I remember correctly, Brahms, no, he got killed at the end. The twist was that he was a real person living in the walls. He was super, super creepy. They did it really well.
Yeah.
But I don't think they left it open for a sequel. And I was like, I wonder what thing they could do that could be moderately cool. No, apparently not. That's a miss.
So what was the first one? Did that have Lauren Cohen in it or no?
Yes, that was the one.
See,
we watched it for our show, didn't we?
We did. We reviewed it for the show. We did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So obviously
that gives Yardley the answer.
Yardley.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, I guess I had to suffer twice through it because the first time I saw it, I actually saw it at the Starlight Drive-In.
Oh.
Okay.
And I remember I was like, it was terrible, whatever. And then I guess I saw it again. Okay. I was just wondering because I was like, that one wasn't. I give that a 4.6 as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first one. It wasn't bad. It just, I don't sometimes, Housebound did it right where they play it up that this is supernatural and then exposed at the end that it's not. It was was a fucked up, hilarious movie that did it the right way. I don't like when I like my paranormal to be paranormal. Like, I don't like that some weirdos living in this big house and you think it's a ghost. I find that hard to believe. Like, after a certain amount of time, surely you start to know that. And then to bring in the nanny to take care of the doll, like, it just, I mean, some people love it. Like, it really does have a huge following, and I respect it. It just, for me, I was just like, eh. So when I saw this one, and I was kind of excited, oh, they're actually doing a real paranormal twist to it. But when you watch the trailer, you're like, if that's it, if this is what they got and it's in the trailer, then you can count me out, because if the trailer can't bring you into it, then the movie certainly isn't going to.
No. And I'm just saying, y'all, it was streaming for a while. I'm not aware if it still is. I'm not a huge advocate for the first one, but what I thought was creepy about it was just when they did reveal that there was a person living in the wall. I feel like the way that they handled his character, it was sufficiently creepy to make it worth a free streaming watch when you had nothing better to do.
Totally. Agreed. It's worth the watch. Just don't go to the, wouldn't want to go to the movies. No.
And I liked how it came off so super rapey and creepy that I was like, okay, this isn't a great movie, but this creep factor does work for me when he's like sniffing her on the bed or whatever the hell. It was like, oh my God.
And I liked how the parents just totally checked out and like went into the ocean and killed themselves. They were like, we're out. Bye. Like, it was,
peace out,
I thought that was funny. Yeah. They were just like, that's a pretty dramatic way to go. Like, I'll hire a nanny to take care of a quote unquote doll, and now we're just going to peace out. Like, that was an interesting twist to it.
Our duty is done.
Yeah, we've done enough with this dude. But why wouldn't you
You've done plenty. Bye.
I would have just killed him. Like, I would have killed him. Why would you leave him, this dangerous psychopath? Why would you leave him out there and then kill yourselves? That's pretty fucking selfish. So anyway, that's my opinion.
Well, they came off as old, rich people who just like adored their boy despite the fact that he was what he was. So,
exactly. Yeah. Typical.
So the second movie that we're talking about briefly is A Quiet Place 2, which originally was supposed to release on March 18th and was supposed to give us both a little bit of the backstory from The Quiet Place 1 that we did not get, which was allowing us to see John Krasinski's character, who, spoiler, dies in the first one. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed the first one. I think we all did. And it was supposed to release March 18th, and they have pushed it back. And I was just looking for when are they pushing it back to? But unfortunately, it is just pushed back indefinitely. You guys saw the trailers, though, not just when I posted it, but probably when you went to see other films. What did you guys think about it? Are you excited to see it when it comes back, or will you not care by then?
For me, I was cool with the way that the first one ended, and if there wasn't another one, I would have been cool with that. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that a lot more is probably riding on this one, because the first one, they made it, obviously exceeded expectations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now you kind of got a standard to reach, and usually the second one never does. But I am definitely curious, and even though they're going to show us how, a lot of this stuff started, I definitely want a flashback to find out how she got out of that situation at the end of the movie.
They really had her balls to the wall.
Yeah, because that was something that we had all discussed. I think one of us thought that she might have survived. I know I was like, nah, she died. I think that's what they were kind of trying to show, a hopeless situation. So I hope we get a little bit more information about how that happened, but I'm going to definitely give it a shot.
Yeah, I remember us when we reviewed the first one, I think we were all in agreement that we would love to have seen how the whole thing started. And so I'm excited that they're addressing that in the second part. And you can see her like driving down the street and everybody's running and screaming. And then that bus is coming towards her and she kicks it into, reverse. And it's very, very like tense. And you're like, oh, shit. I'm excited about it. I have faith that John Krasinski, right? Yeah, her husband. I kind of have faith and I have hope that he would not have done this if it wasn't done right. I just don't think he seems like comes off as somebody who's just going to put some shit out there, So I'm hopeful it's going to be good, and I really hope there's still a good supply of monsters, because it's already alluding to the fact that humans are the real monsters. And yes, we all know humans are the real monsters. We get it, but I don't want another Walking Dead.
We're living it right now. We need
exactly. we need monsters, not humans, monsters.
Oh, I'm so dumb. When I heard that they were pushing this back, I was just like, because they don't want people to be sad, like to see another like scary movie the times we're living in. I'm like, no, dipshit. It's because they don't want people in the theater together. So.
Yeah, no, I was just having this conversation actually with one of the researchers from Astonishing Legends on Twitter. She's on Twitter, and her and I kind of chit chat every once in a while. And we were both discussing how it's weird that our reflex when shit hits the fan is to want to watch horror movies. And that's me. Like, that's the first thing I did when all this shit broke out was I watched Contagion. I just, in my head, it's like...
Everybody did. It's like number 9 on Netflix right now.
I'm like, why do I do this to myself? Like, I don't know why. And I guess I think the only thing is if shit's going bad, I want to see the worst case scenario to make me feel good about where I'm at, if that makes any sense. It could be worse, like...
There's a movie called Matinee that came out in the early 2000s, late 90s, where they do that. They show about how, I think it was in the 50s when the war was going on, in the 40s, I guess, and people would go to the theaters and want to watch like the most horrifying things ever, basically. And it was because, no, it couldn't have been it had to have been the 60s. Anyway, I'm an idiot, but
it's all right.
But people were going to the theaters for the escapism, and actually during a wartime when everyone was scared shitless, the whole thing was that they were going to watch the most scary experiences in the movie theater as well. So I think it's normal is what I'm trying to say.
I think it's human condition for a lot of people, and a lot of people are the exact opposite. And so it's like, I get that too. It was just funny because she was right in my brain that second when she sent that tweet out. And I was like, yes, I'm the same way. Why is that? Why do we go towards murder and death and the worst of the worst possible case scenarios and everything when something happens? I do it anyway, but when something bad's going on, I'm really all about it. So funny that
isn't Contagion the one that Gwyneth Paltrow's the patient zero, by the way?
Yeah, I love that movie.
If people love her, sorry, but for me, being able to blame Gwyneth Paltrow for things.
Exactly. And boy, she went out too. It was like, but and that is like, and the thing is that is probably the most realistic movie about an outbreak out there. I mean, the way they did it with the kind of civilization starts to kind of break down, and you've got the dude, Jude Law, who's taking advantage, and, he's like he has the website that is telling everybody that there's a cure and the government's keeping it from you, and he's like responsible for deaths, and you just have every single type of character that would be coming around right now, just like they just told somebody, I think it was Jerry Falwell, to stop piddling his fucking vitamin, saying it's going to cure the coronavirus. He's the Jude Law. Give me a fucking break, man. So it's just a great peek at what could be, if this thing got bad, really bad, what it would look like. And to me, you can never know what actually would happen, but it's pretty interesting and spot on a lot of cases. Yeah. So anyway, so Quiet Place, sorry, is not coming out yet, and we don't know when it is, but I'm definitely going to check it out when it does, because I
think we're saying support it when it does come out, you guys, and it will be in a different moment in time, but I hope it still has some buzz around it when it does.
Too.
So, Mr. Yardley, tell us about the flop that was Fantasy Island.
Yes, Fantasy Island, which is in theaters. It got a 4.7 on IMDb. I am going to give a quick summary, and then I'm going to dive into a user review. So the enigmatic Mr. Rourke makes the secret dreams of his lucky guests come true at a luxurious but remote tropical resort. But when the fantasies turn into nightmares, the guests have to solve the island's mystery in order to escape with their lives. This is a horror remake of the 70s TV show starring Hottie Lucy Hale. A user review stated, I almost didn't go to see this movie after reading the reviews, but I had 2 hours to kill, so I did. All the people who gave terrible reviews are crazy. People were claiming they couldn't follow the plot, but I didn't have any problem at all. In fact, I rather enjoyed it myself. Now, this movie will not win any Oscars, but neither will it be listed among the worst of all time either. Watch the movie with the notion that you will not see a cinematic masterpiece, but instead will be able to spend 2 hours where magical islands exist. The TV show Lost had a similar plot, and it was one of the most successful shows of all time. Watch this movie with the same mindset. As I had watched the trailer before, it just piqued my interest. I don't know how excited y'all are. I can't say that I'm excited, but I'll definitely give it a chance because of Lucy Hale.
Yeah, I wasn't. Okay, so
I give Lucy Hale's boobs a chance every time.
I've seen this movie available, and I just reading the title, I was like, no, and I just stroll right through it. But after watching the trailer, I'm not expecting, like he said, I'm not expecting anything fantastic, but I'm going to give it a try. I think it's an interesting concept. I thought it was going to be one of those reality TV, like where they think they're on a reality show, but they're not. It's a horror. This is more of just like an actual story, and the concept's totally different than what you like those. Now I know more about what it is. This might be one case where the trailer can work in its favor, because when you read the title, your brain automatically thinks about something else. So I'm going to give it a shot.
Well, and as I mentioned before, I do feel like from a week ago, it was like, we're not going to waste our limited time. And now if you are someone who's home on quarantine right now, now it's like, well, is it pre-apocalypse good, or is it post-quarantine good? Like, is it worth a watch when you're stuck at home anyway? Sure. So
yeah, that's what that sounds like.
Maybe I'll give it a chance.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how many things are going to find new life in this environment. And I wish, and I know it's not going to happen, but I wish that some of the things that were going to be released in trailers that weren't really expected to do well would just release in video on demand, even if you had to pay for it. Like, we're going to talk about New Mutants in a minute, and they've been pushing that one back. And I know it's Marvel, so that's another reason why they won't just release it, direct to streaming.
Right.
But it's also like, let's just start a new precedent. We're in new times. Just let people pay, even if you have to pay $10 or whatever, like you would going to the theater, let people watch it for 24-hour stream or even a couple hours stream at home. Instead of pushing it back, that one's getting pushed back yet another year.
Well, I think you're onto something there. I think you're onto something there, because people have to stay home. Millions and millions of people are staying home. Like, you could get a better turnout releasing it to download for a certain amount of money than you would be competing with all these movies that have been holding out until after everything, and then they're all releasing
overage cost or any of it.
Yeah, and then you if somebody has to choose between that movie and The Quiet Place or another movie or whatever, they might not choose a movie. So if you are putting off your movie and you are going to have to compete with other movies that have also been putting theirs off, you could be losing money, doing that. Whereas if you've got a huge audience sitting here waiting for something to come out and be streamed, I'd pay $10 and I don't even care about New Mutants. So you're right. One of these movies should do that, and it's a shame that they're not. And you could market the shit out of it on Facebook and Twitter, because that's where everybody's at, looking for every piece of news they can find. So then market, hey, catch it now. We're going to stream it for 24 hours, $10. Oh my gosh, you'd make a killing.
I think they should, especially pushing it back another year. No one's going to give a fuck. No. But anyway, we'll talk about that one in just a minute. Antlers. It looks like I haven't heard anything about changing it. Release date April 17th. The synopsis is a small town Oregon teacher and her brother, the local sheriff, become entwined with a young student harboring a dangerous secret with frightening consequences, which tells you literally jack shit all nothing.
Yeah.
Kerry Russell, though, is the star. And what did you guys think of the trailer?
I thought that it was interesting, because that's the one with the guy who played, Todd from Breaking Bad. And he was also in that.
Why did I recognize? Yeah.
Yeah, and remember he was in the Netflix. Gosh, what was it? The USS. I'm trying to remember
Jesse Plemons is his name.
Yeah, Jesse.
Clicking on it to see what he comes up with for him.
Yeah, there was something that dropped on Netflix, and I can't remember, but it. It was called the USS. He does a lot
of Drunk History too, by the way. But The Irishman he was in. Anyway, yeah.
But I can't remember. But he's a great actor. But when I saw him, he does look different. It looks like he gained just a little bit of weight. But outside of that, I mean, he seems like he's as sharp as ever. The only reason why I'm curious about this movie is because of him.
Yeah, okay. I'm a little bummed about the title because this is about the Wendigo, and I don't understand why they didn't just title it Wendigo. Like, I mean, there's not a lot of movies.
I wonder if they were concerned that people didn't know what it was. I don't know.
That's just antlers does not sound like scary or foreboding.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like Tusk, and that movie did so poorly, Tusk.
Yeah.
That it's sort of like, why are you calling something in that sense? To me, it brings like, oh, Tusk. That movie was fucked up and not in a good way. Like,
yeah, I mean, so the Wendigo is a Native American mythological man-eating creature. And they, it's like an evil spirit in the folklore of different Native American tribes. And there's like I've seen a lot of different stories on paranormal shows where people were being, attacked or stalked by a Wendigo. And, it's always the same. They're in the forest. And it's an interesting, good folklore story that I really hope they don't fuck up by not marketing it the right way, because I've never heard of it until I watched the trailer. And as I'm watching, I'm like, ooh, the Wendigo. And I thought for sure they were going to name it that. And they're like, antlers. And I was like, what? It's not a good name. Wendigo. Yeah, Wendigo sounds scary. Ooh, the Wendigo. Okay, so that pisses me off. But in the other acts, I will totally watch it and see if they play it out the right way, because this thing actually devours human flesh. I mean, it's a scary folklore legend. So I hope they do right by it. Otherwise, if they don't, I'll be glad they didn't name it the Wendigo. But yeah, that was my kind of synopsis when I watched it. I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll see.
You're like, why?
Yeah, antlers.
So we hear you on antlers. But I did give you one to talk about that you had mentioned to us off the show.
Yes.
Called The Lodge. Tell us about that one. This
movie has become my white whale of 2020, just like Midsommar was in my 2019, because it took me forever to find Midsommar, because when I hear of one and I have the access at times to watch movies that aren't out yet, and sometimes I get that opportunity with the apps that we have, and then sometimes I don't. And usually the ones that I don't give a shit about, I have access to, but the ones that I'm really, really anticipating, I can't fucking get. So
that's how that works.
Yes. So I have looked for it almost every day. I'm looking for it, and they tricked me, and it showed The Lodge 2020. And I'm like, oh my God, yes. And I click it and it starts to play. And it's some dumbass shit movie called The Lodge from like 10 years ago. And so they tricked me. I was only tricked for about 10 minutes, because I'm like, what's going on here? This doesn't look like what they were talking about. So again, here I am trying, and The Lodge is out in theaters now, but very, very limited release and probably almost gone at this point. There's not a lot of theaters it's in. So it did get 6.6 on IMDb. I've been hearing good things about it, and it's not all as it seems. I don't know the whole concept, but somebody dropped a few hints, and I'm like, oh. 72% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. A bone-chilling nightmare from the directors of Goodnight Mommy. The Lodge follows a family who retreat to their remote winter cabin over the holidays. When the father is forced to abruptly depart for work, he leaves his children, Aiden and Mia, in the care of his new girlfriend, Grace. Isolated and alone, a blizzard traps them inside the lodge as terrifying events summon specters from Grace's dark past. And Alicia Silverstone's in it, so hey. Here's a review. It says, I attended the East Coast premiere of The Lodge a few weeks ago and can say it will most likely be 2020's most polarizing and divisive horror movie release. That's what I like to hear. If you've seen Franz and Fela's last film, Goodnight Mommy, you will have an idea of what to expect in terms of tone and themes. Yes, that is a hint they're dropping right there. The cinematography is breathtaking, and Riley Keough's performance is unbelievable. Like Mommy, the central characters are two siblings who are up against some sort of unknown, unstable maternal presence while existing in isolation. Instead of a vast, lonely European farm, the lodge features exactly what the title suggests, a mountain lodge in the middle of nowhere. It's all so well done that you can almost feel the icy frost in the theater as the film progresses. Franz and Fela take a lot of cues from Ari Aster, especially Midsummer, in depicting sudden tragedy and brutal existential grief that consistently drips off the screen. Additionally, there are underlying themes of mental illness and psychosis that are done really well and tactfully, although I might add it may not seem so at first. Sorry if that's just cryptic. I don't want to give any spoilers. No, because apparently it's pretty crazy. The ending will knock you on your ass. I couldn't move after the screening. I was frozen for half the credit roll, and I couldn't stop thinking about it for days. I highly recommend The Lodge for fans of Astor's work, or if you liked Goodnight Mommy and want more of the same slow burn insanity. I mean, I'm already signed up. Y'all know I've been stalking, trying to find this film for over a month now, so I'm there.
Get it, girl.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it.
Yeah, agree.
Yardley, Antebellum.
Antebellum has a release date of April the 24th. It's produced by Jordan Peele and stars Janelle Monáe. A quick overview. Successful author Veronica finds herself trapped in a horrifying reality and must uncover the mind-bending mystery before it's too late. I've seen the trailer a few times. The way that it's shot, the people that are in it, it seems like it'll definitely be interesting. I have zero idea what it's going to be about, which makes me a little bit more curious. I'm definitely willing to give it a chance. And to be quite honest with you, I wouldn't go into it thinking that it would suck. If it's just okay, I'll feel like I got my money's worth.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all, with the name of the title, I think we can all understand what this most likely is about. Probably a lot of ghosts from that time, and probably the theme around it is slavery, I would assume, because Antebellum is back.
It looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get to see a lot of the trailer because it was weird. My computer, the YouTube, it kept going to advertisements, and when it would go to the advertisements, it would cut off part of the actual trailer I was trying to watch. So this one, it was really wonky, and kind of the advertisement went in and out, and then it would cut off pieces. And so, by just looking at a few seconds of it, I was like, this clearly. And when I read the title, I'm like, that's probably what it's about. I think it'll be interesting, and if it's Jordan Peele, I mean, he's got my money, and I have pretty good faith that he's not going to churn out any shit. So.
Well, when you watch the trailer, though, there are certain instances in it where you see a plane coming in and out of a frame as if, I think it's not going to be obvious that it's just about that, because it seems to be some other stuff going on. It gives you kind of clues, and that's what definitely makes me curious. But yeah, I mean, I'm like you, Christy. I mean, even though he's just producing this, and I know that a lot of movies are going to attach his name to it, make it prominent. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I don't know. Well, we'll see how it's received if some movies that have his name attached to it start flopping.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, I'm kind of curious to see what happens with that.
I would hope that he's not going to put it, even if it's just a producing credit. I just don't get the feeling, because he's really at a whole other level with the movies that he's churning out, that if he starts putting his name on crap, then that's going to really lower his caliber of what they take seriously, because people don't pay too much attention. They just see his name and they don't quite know how it's tied. Yeah. And so hopefully he's aware of that, and he's not just going to stick his name on stuff that he helped produce versus something he's written and directed.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I want to believe that, so I guess the future will tell us. It's not going to be like those authors that it says Dean Koontz, but it's someone else and kind of shit. So we shall see.
But I'm definitely going to see it, though.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited, though.
So I'm going to roll us through 2 comic book related movies that are not necessarily horror but have horror elements, although New Mutants, they are sort of marketing as horror. The first one is Morbius, and it stars Jared Leto, who I have to admit is a good actor, though I may not be a fan of him as a person, I guess. But they made this look really good, and it's Marvel, which is usually really good. So Morbius stars Jared Leto, as I mentioned. Biochemist Michael Morbius tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. And I just wanted to mention, I have not read the comics. My husband has, of course. The comic is an anti-hero story, so he's like a guy that does things the wrong way for the right reasons kind of thing. Again, it's full Marvel budget. It looks really well done. I think it might be a nice break away from some of the traditional horror movie, traditional superhero genre of just like rah, we wear capes around and fight bad guys and we're the good guys. I think it's going to be well done and interesting. What were your guys' thoughts seeing the trailer?
Yeah, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, isn't this is Sony? It's a Marvel. It's a Marvel thing, but it's so it's Sony's IP or whatever. But it looks okay. I mean, I probably feel more excited about this than I did when they dropped Venom and those trailers. And it's got it's Jared Leto, so I mean he's more than a decent actor. So I mean, based off of the strength of some of the stuff that I've seen him in, outside of that, what was it, the Suicide Squad movie? Outside of that, there's a movie, and I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's on Netflix, and I think he's like in this Japanese cartel or something like this. I can't remember what the name of it is, but it was a pretty darn good movie. And seeing as that was the last thing that I saw him in, and then I see this Morbius trailer, you know what? I can totally get behind it.
Okay. Yeah. Christy, as a non-superhero person, what did you think?
It looked interesting. At first, when it first started, I'm like, is this some sort of weird new Batman thing that they're playing at? Which I did see Michael Keaton in there, so that was clearly like a homage to, I'm assuming, Batman. I'll check it out. I really liked Venom. I'm not really big on superhero movies, so my attention is on horror, and so these heroes that are anti-heroes are more my style of comic movies than the just normal constant superheroes of the world. And I really like Batman and I like Iron Man, but that's really kind of as far as it goes for me. There's a lot. I liked the Infinity. I like the ones where they all come together and fight for the world, but I don't really get into it. And I did really like Guardians of the Galaxy. And I don't know if we're even talking about the same universes. I know we're probably not, but I'm just kind of thinking of superhero movies in general. I don't want to, but I love Jared Leto because he's forever and always going to be Jordan from My So-Called Life.
Jordan Catalano.
Yeah. Always going to be. And I thought he was absolutely freaking phenomenal in Dallas Buyers Club. Like, I was blown away by him. Yeah. That's when I really started to take him seriously, because holy crap. I mean, he made that movie for me and I really enjoyed it. So I'm definitely going to give him a chance just because I have that weird love-hate relationship with him. It's like, he's one of those dudes that's like, I'm in a band, I'm an actor, I'm going to do everything. So that sometimes gets on my nerves, but I'll check it out. This movie seems perfect for him. I don't know why, but I could totally see him doing this. So I'll check it out.
The movie that I was referring to was called The Outsider. It's on Netflix. It's pretty good.
Okay. We'll check that out too, since we've all got nothing else to do.
Exactly. We got time.
New Mutants. I mentioned this at the top of the show. I believe I've mentioned it on previous episodes. That's why I had Marvel on my brain. This is going to be the first, in my humble opinion, Marvel flop. And you have a mix of the perfect storm. You have actors who they were super smoking freaking hot in Hollywood when this movie was made, who are sort of cooled off like Game of Thrones actors, young people. You have a movie that is being marketed as horror, though the comics aren't necessarily supposed to be horror. So that kind of comics, enthusiasts are back. And then it keeps getting pushed back. It keeps having rewrites. It was first marketed as a anti-hero, superhero thing, and now is being marketed as a horror. Again, a lot of the actors aren't hot anymore. There's just a lot of speculation. The fandom, I don't know if the comics fandom is really going to follow this. I think, too, for mainstream people who aren't super into comics, it's aimed at a teen level audience. So it's not going to be horrific enough for a hardcore horror fan, nor is it going to be comic enough for a comic fan. And I think it's a freaking disaster. That being said, I was willing to see it, not in the theaters. It was supposed to be released April 3rd, which also, in my humble opinion, is far enough from now to see if maybe some of this quarantine stuff starts easing off and they could have still put it out. They have not only opted to push it back, they've actually opted to push it back for another year. And I don't think anyone is going to give two shits. You're going to have all these child actors, like either nobody knows who they are anymore, or they're going to be like Britney Spears circa 2012 by then. So best of luck to it. But the premise is 5 young mutants just discovering their abilities while held in a secret facility against their will, fight to escape their past sins and save themselves. They actually use the same music from The Faculty, and The Faculty was a great late 90s, early 2000s horror film that I think was a lot better probably than these, so it made me sad. But again, lots of actors that in here, but it suffered many rewrites and production delays, and now you have it delayed for another year. What do you guys think of this travesty?
We'll see.
Are you interested in seeing it when it does come out?
No, I probably wouldn't go to see it in the theaters unless I, read reviews that said, that it was a little bit better than I was thinking that it would be. Well, the thing about it is, one of the things with the production, they thought that there was going to be a ton of reshoots, which apparently didn't happen. And also with some of these deals with Sony and Marvel, I think that they actually talked to Kevin Feige about maybe possibly, I don't know, I guess they had asked him, what he thought about it or whatever. And he said that it was fine. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of the doom and gloom, you know what I'm saying? Because at some point they do have to introduce mutants into the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well. And I do think
pushing it back, I wonder how it's going to, affect everything. So,
well, Shang-Chi, which was another movie that was in production, got stopped, and production on that. So it's definitely going to affect a few different things. But like I said, if I read a few reviews, or enough, and it has like a, 65% or something on Rotten Tomatoes, I might be curious enough to give it a shot.
All right.
Yeah, I have.
So Yardley, go ahead, girl.
No, I was just going to say I have zero interest in this movie in any way. I watched the trailer and I was like, this looks like a mess. Like, I don't even know why they made it. And in my head, I thought the only way I will watch it is if y'all tell me to. I'll be like, okay, if you say it's worth it, I'll watch it. That's basically where I'm at.
All the things, so we'll let you know.
Yes.
Well, the expectations are so low for this movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to be as,
I feel like it's going to be well acted and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. So Yardley, this next one that you're going to talk about actually looks really good, and I hope it doesn't get pushed back. But tell us about it.
Yeah, it's called Woman in the Window, and I actually saw this trailer when I went and saw The Invisible Man in theaters. It has a release date. I don't know if it's currently tentative of May the 15th. Well, the movie stars Amy Adams, Gary Oldman, Julianne Moore, Wyatt Russell, Anthony Mackie. An agoraphobic woman living alone in New York begins spying on her new neighbors, only to witness a disturbing act of violence. Hey, the trailer totally sucked me in. I might go see this in the movies.
Yeah.
I think we've seen this story, some version of this story about 1,000 times, but I've enjoyed it every time because I like mysteries as well as horror. So I'm in. What about you, Christy?
Agreed. I think it looks really good. I'm cautiously optimistic, and I would definitely go watch this in the movie theater for sure.
Done deal, y'all. So Candyman, I saved it for myself to talk about just because, oh my God, I'm so excited, but we have talked about it already. The release date is currently still, as of this recording, June 12th, as we've talked about on the show. It's a spiritual sequel to the 1992 horror film Candyman that returns with the now gentrified Chicago neighborhood where the legend began. Unless you guys have any further comments, we've talked about this a lot. We will talk about this a lot more. But I did want to put in an indie horror section for Christy to tell us all the cool things that she knows about that we'll have available for streaming right now. So unless you guys have something else to add, Christy, let your flag fly into indie horror.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to throw out a couple of different things that I've been hearing about. I surprisingly, a lot of them, I was surprised to see they were on Amazon Prime, which most everybody has a Prime membership, I think. So, because I just buy a lot of shit off Amazon, so it just pays for itself in that aspect. But other ones are being a little cryptic about when they're being released, so I apologize. But they were they looked interesting enough to me to talk about. So the first one is Synchronic. And it is two New Orleans paramedics' lives are ripped apart after they encounter a series of horrific deaths linked to a designer drug with bizarre otherworldly effects. Reviews are coming in on it, which again, these are movies that have either came out or just came out, and so they're high ratings, but it's also from a very small amount of people. So take these with a grain of salt on what the actual review is, because it could be just a bunch of people that are involved in the movie rating it. You have no idea, but it does show a 6.7 on IMDb, and this one does not have a release date that I could find, but reading up on it, it did look really interesting, and I thought the concept kind of stood out, so I am very optimistic about that one. This next one is getting a lot of underground cult following talk, so I'm totally going to watch it tonight probably. It is available on Amazon Prime, and I think it is available on other streaming services too. It's called VFW, and it's a total B movie, but again, it's one of those B movies that is really standing out right now and people are talking about. So a group of war veterans must defend their local VFW post in an incident and an innocent teen against a deranged drug dealer and his relentless army of punk mutants. So very interesting off-the-wall concept. I think it's going to be like one of those hobo with the shotgun movies where it's just tons of violence and craziness. So if you're in a mood for something like that and something kind of off the wall, then definitely check this one out. And again, it is available on Amazon Prime, and it has a 6.3 on IMDb. The second one looks pretty funny. It's called Snatchers, and it's described.
Okay, this premise looks horrific as shit. Yeah. Go ahead.
So after a status-obsessed teen, Sarah, has sex for the first time, she wakes up the next day 9 months pregnant with an alien. So this movie is very tongue-in-cheek and very, it's supposed to be horror comedy. So it's not too horrifying because they're putting a lot of comedy elements in it, but it does look pretty interesting, and I'm totally going to check this one out too. It got a 5.4 on IMDb, and it is also available on Amazon Prime. Here's another one.
If my kids were older, I'd make them watch it. Just like,
right?
If you have sex one time,
this could happen to you.
You're going to wake up pregnant with an alien baby.
Exactly. This other one was made, and the creators made it in homage to The Twilight Zone and other shows like that. So it caught my attention. It's called The Vast of Night. In the twilight of and I think that was how they even put homage to it by putting Twilight in there. In the twilight of the 1950s, on one fateful night in New Mexico, a young switchboard operator, Faye, and charismatic radio DJ, Everett, discover a strange audio frequency that could change their small town and the future forever. So that one got a 7.2 on IMDb, and it says it is available on Amazon Prime as well. This last one looks pretty hysterical. It's called Porno, And I could not figure out when it's coming out because you try searching when is porno, the movie indie movie release date. It doesn't matter what you put in there. You're not going to find the answer. You're going to find a lot of craziness. So just FYI, just keep an eye out for it and see if we could track it down. But when 5 teen employees at the local movie theater in a small Christian town discover a mysterious old film hidden in its basement, they unleash an alluring succubus who gives them a sex education written in blood. So again, it's probably going to be another one of these like VFW movies, just kind of an underground weird B movie cult. And yeah, I have no idea when it's coming out because you guys try searching for it and you hit me up on what you find. So anyway, those are the 5 that were kind of standing out. And some of them are already released. So go to town, and the other ones we can kind of look out for and see what we can find.
Nice.
All right. Well, let's talk about other movies that are available to watch now. Sweetheart. The story about J.D. Dillard directs this Sundance Blumhouse flick that sadly never got a theatrical release, but should find loyal viewers on Netflix. The great Kiersey Clemons plays a survivor of a boat crash who washes up on a deserted island. At night, she learns they're not alone. That's really all you need to know about this visually striking and thematically fascinating piece of survival horror. Are these type of survivor horror movies things that y'all are into? Because I've been seeing a lot of similar type things about people being on an island and people getting picked off. There's a few shows like that are on Netflix. Has this ever interested you?
I'm into this kind of thing. Yeah. My husband actually will watch it too, these kind of survival horror. Sorry, Christy, go ahead.
No, I've seen this movie. It's really good. It's worth it. Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
The girl in it, it's weird because for a while she's the only one on the island. And it gets right to the point. There is no like slow burn.
And the build up.
Yeah, there's a monster in it. And I thought it was really good for just being an indie movie of sorts. So I watched it while I was recovering from surgery. And I don't know, I think I probably watched it on my app from my Apple TV that sometimes you get to see movies early. But definitely look for it, and if you can find it, it's worth worth throwing a couple bucks to stream it for sure.
Sweet.
Okay, Black Summer. Here's a user review. If, like me, you have Walking Dead fatigue setting in, you might want to give Black Summer a try. It's a different type of zombie series that reminds me of a longer form of Dawn of the Dead rather than anything we've seen on AMC the last decade. Are y'all zombied out yet?
I am not zombied out, nor, though, am I interested. I don't even remember what it's called, but there's another Walking Dead fucking spinoff starting in April. And I am for anything that AMC, Greg Nicotero, Suri, or any of those folks are doing when it comes to that Walking Dead universe. That being said, a horror fan is a horror fan, and I still find horrific things interesting. I think right now there's a renewed interest in zombie apocalypse, just in terms of like, was it caused by a virus? Because so anyway, I might check it out if I have nothing else to do, which is the way things are looking. What about you, Christy?
I'll watch the first one and see where I'm at. I really like zombie, and one of my favorite zombie movies is Dawn of the Dead, the one where it takes place in the shopping center with Ving Rhames and Sarah Polley, and I really like that movie. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that like that's just something that I would do, is like go to a mall, not because I love malls, but because it has everything. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. You would
Resources,
go there. I'd go to Costco or a mall or something. So, I'm totally going to check it out. I have never heard of it, so this is my interest is piqued, and I'm definitely going to watch it.
Nice.
Okay, well then there's also Aries. This is released as currently on Netflix, and it's a Dutch series about a secret society that does not play out the way you're envisioning. Yes, it starts out with a naive girl being inducted into a spooky ancient order, but what comes next is definitely not the traditional path for this sort of setup. Rather, it becomes the order itself who is hunted. A rash of suicides causes even the eldest members to grow concerned about what exactly is going on and what it has to do with what they have locked in their basement. If you like, say, Suspiria, this is a very similar series, and I think you'll like it. I've been seeing this like at the top of my queue for a while, so I think I might check this out.
Me too. Yeah, I'll definitely try it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll try everything at this point.
Hell yeah.
So not streaming currently, however, again, with things changing, the release date for Hill House Season 2, and some of this we talked about last week, but some of this is more expanded information. It was supposed to release, they thought, in fall 2020, which, judging by when the first season dropped, it dropped in October, which seems like a good time for something like this to drop. However, I think horror has a following all year. It doesn't matter the season. And I also think that this show has a following all year. And I know that they wrapped production on it like a month or so ago. And Netflix, if you're listening, if anybody involved in Netflix or this show is listening, you would have all the viewers. You would crash your platform if you were to release it while people are stuck at home. So that's another reason why I wanted to talk about it, is just like, hey, release these things now if you've got them available. Don't wait till October. You'll do better. At any rate, so as I mentioned, Hill House 2 has finished production, and there's still no premiere date. But let's see. Future episodes under the new title, The Haunting of Bly Manor. So this is actually from Mike Flanagan, who is involved with the show. That's a wrap on The Haunting of Bly Manor. Congratulations to the cast and crew, the familiar faces and the new, and congratulations to the filmmakers who came on board to make this season their own. According to Union Journalism, the upcoming season will not focus on the Crane family who appeared in season 1, as it will tell anthology stories akin to an American Horror Story. So basically that style of using the same actors for a completely different story. The Haunting of Hill House was based on Shirley Jackson's 1959 book. The Haunting of Old Bly Manor is based on The Turn of the Screw, a tale from way back in 1898. So we're getting some real Gothic horror. I hope it's done well. The Turn of the Screw, on which the series is based, tells the story of a governess who moves into Bly Manor to take care of a man's niece and nephew after their parents die. Fortunately, the second season will still feature the same cast from the first season of the Netflix original series.
I'm excited.
What do you
sure.
guys think?
Yes. Please.
Yeah.
I'm in. I was in because I just loved the first one. In fact, I feel like I need to revisit it because it's been, a year or so, I guess. I can't remember when it was that it came out, but
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 3 years. It's been a minute. So we are jonesing. So with that, listeners, I hope we have provided you with some good things to watch in the next couple of hopefully just weeks. And I want to go ahead and give our socials. I am Moni Bear across the board. And Yardley, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at militant_marker.
Miss Christy?
I am Creepin' at Christy on Instagram and Creepin_it on Twitter. And I don't know what show I'm going to do next week. I'm still debating, and I just kind of need to do some marinating about it. So you're going to get what you're going to get. Y'all going to like it. How about that? As I tell my kids. As I tell my kids, you get what you get and you don't pitch a fit. So that's it. Also, I just wanted to say thank you to our Podbean listeners. We just surpassed 1,800 on there, and that's pretty awesome. So thank you guys, and we hope you enjoy it. That's our home base. That's where we stream, and then we, of course, add our platform to all the other listening services. But we are on Podbean originally, and so we've racked up a nice following on there, and we appreciate all of you.
Yes, we do. And I wanted to mention again, I was clunky the first time, but again, regardless of what we do on the next show, we will be talking about your questions, ideas, stories, whatever you text us. So if you text the word creep to 21000, text the word creep now, or within the next week, we will feature whatever you have to say to us on the show.
Yeah, so you just...
With that,
I'm sorry, really quick. I just wanted to kind of dive in on that and how it works. So once you text CREEP to that number, you can then text us anything. So please be nice. Don't be all creepy and mean or nasty or I'll have to block you. But you want to just say, hey, we love you, or hey, I have a question, or what if you did a show on this topic, or here's my crazy experience. You can do that as soon as you type CREEP. It automatically is the open door then that you can start texting us. And we will address anything that you guys want to talk about on the next show.
Very nice. All right. Thank you, guys. And stay safe, stay sane, stay inside, and we will catch you on the flip side.